It's time for the Daily Stand Up Podcast presented by AgileDad with your host, Lee Henson. Without any further ado, let's get started. A former student sent me a copy of their journey regarding backlog refinement. And, I don't want to read too much into it. I want to give you the take on what they sent me. So here we go. They started backlog refinement as a major factor for successful agile team delivery. This is the base of the whole work. In many theories, uh, refinement can be, how should I put this? Refinement can be determined by using different activities, hopefully, obviously interrelated, sometimes overlapping. But the main crux of refinement is to understand the functionality and requirements and to shortlist things on a basis of other dependencies and things that are going on within the organization. So I like the intro. It was a little bit confusing, but I got my head around it. I was trying to shrink it down a little bit. This was a long declaration. So I wanted to make sure we got it down to something that made sense and was logical. So this person made a few initial observations about the way refining was going. So this is the state where they were, not the state where they got to. So she mentions, in refinement, I noticed that team members did not like talking to each other on an aspect of work, though they were very good friends when it was time for lunch. If someone was blocked for a dependency of another team member, he or she used to send an email to the other one and sit back almost half the day just waiting for a reply, scouring the internet, looking at news, cute cat videos, etc. Interesting, right? When asked, what are we working on? Team members used to reply only to specific technical coding parts of what they did, and they didn't bother to know even what the story was about with regard to users or end user space. The clarity of stories were determined and understood only by a few senior team members who were involved in the initial design activities and not the team members on the ground who were doing the work, so they had no idea what they were doing. Technology and functionalities were standing at both ends of the stick, trying to find a balance with the product owner, stakeholders, and business analysts. A huge number of bugs were present, even after people insisted that they did unit testing at the base level. And they took it further. Accountability was a dream. People fought all the time. They were infighting, and no one wanted to take accountability for their actions. If the number of why increased from 2 to 3, the answer was, we'll go ask a designer. And that's kind of crazy. There is a huge gap between a team goal and an individual goal. Functionalities were only known by the business analyst. That person was the shaman on the hill, if you will, the Sherpa to get there, the shaman on the hill, right? And then participation in backlog refinement was only from designers and the BA. No one else participated. Wow, that's quite the challenge, right? So to identify where to start, the first step, obviously, she says, I started off by asking everyone necessary to participate in backlog refinement meeting and explain to them that we're going to time box this to 1 hour a week for the team and the product owner. Very good first move. Instead of sending emails, I asked the team members to talk to a concerned member on a dependency and clear things out more quickly as not to have things linger. Once again, sound advice. Some of the challenges: no one wanted to speak up during the meeting. There were a few people who were completely distracted, checking things on WhatsApp or Facebook or whatever was going on at the time. Few appeared to be not interested. The product owners just wanted to rattle through the meeting super fast to review the acceptance criteria and get on with the work. User stories were not constructed properly by the product owner, and members were not in a position to even understand what was going on. It was just a mess. It was a dumpster fire. And I get it. I have been in that very company. If you're sitting here listening to this saying, wait a minute, that sounds like my company, Here's the good part. She says, after taking your training, here are some things that we started doing differently. First, we asked the product owner to share which stories will be refined next sprint by no later than the middle of the current sprint, so that we had an opportunity to go through those stories and be prepared with questions prior to refinement. Second, it was okay if all questions were not coming into mind instantly in a refinement session. We planned and understood that there could be some follow-up questions after the session, but with the earlier notice, it was easier for us to get our head around questions sooner. The team started creating a clarification list, which the product owner and their group had to go through and reply to before the backlog refinement session. Designers and senior engineers started taking functional knowledge impart sessions for people who were less experienced. So there started to be this cross-pollination and creation of T-shaped teams instead of I-shaped teams. They started reading user stories together as a team to make sure that they understood prior to the refinement meeting. They would just sit and read through each story and maybe mark the ones they didn't understand. They used historical knowledge of functionalities if they were unsure about how things were supposed to function or work, instead of relying just on going to the more senior designers or developers. If someone was still not confident, they encouraged peer reviews and pairing to help knock out questions and to help gain a better understanding of the work before they actually started execution. It was also very much okay not to be extremely vocal in front of the PO, but understanding that their contributions were more needed, and that while they didn't have to speak about everything, it was important that they expressed what areas they were struggling with and what areas they needed more additional information. And asking the more senior people to understand that they had the knowledge and that knowledge transfer was important, so that they could eventually work on things that were more innovative, was a big contributing factor. And finally, it was okay for the team to only have small improvements each day. If they built better relationships with each other and with the product owner, and they built better relationships within the team, it was going to yield a better product. Now, these things excited me because many of this list are things that I don't structurally teach in my class, but they're things that are implied that if you do certain things, that other things are going to happen. And what I can tell you is this is a beautiful set of steps that this young lady took to help her organization really get their head around what refinement was supposed to be and how to better prepare for refinement so that those 1-hour refinement sessions with the team and the product owner were more effective. That's going to do it for this episode. If you have a topic you want us to cover, learn more at AgileDad.com. We'd love to hear from you. And as always, we encourage you to stay healthy, stay well, and stay agile, my friends. Until next time, do take care.